Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2. You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Woo! Stories. Don't we love hearing about stories? Now, most manufacturers, well, sometimes they don't know how to tell their story or share their story. So that's where I come in. My name is Gail Robertson, and I am Chief Curiosity Officer with GailNow. And I help manufacturers tell their story using a 3-step process: sign up, suit up, and show up. And it's all using curiosity, which is also my superpower. And I like to help people and teach them how to use some of these steps so they can get out there and share their stories. And we're going to be hearing about how to do that in the e-commerce world, but also how to use things like keywords and some search terms and how to get out there and, share what you got to share. So before we bring on our guests, I want to bring, this is going back. I did a pre-interview with Curt for a panel that I was working on with Canadian Association of Old Makers. So we had a little fun. We were doing the pre-interviews. So I'm just going to play this interview clip because I think this is a great introduction. This was an outtake. Here goes.
All right, let me get a thought together on that one.
Yeah, Curt Anderson. Wait a minute, that's me. Okay, so here we go. Curt is in the house. Do you remember we did that? We had.
Oh my God. That was like, my cheeks still hurt from that day, Gail. It was like Sam Gupta. We had a whole party going on. Man, that was good stuff. So
we had, and I just love doing those outtakes. I think I had more, but that was the fun one because we do like to have fun, don't we?
We got, as a matter of fact, we were getting scolded because we were having too much fun. We had to get a little bit serious.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy Wednesday, Gail. Thank you. What an honor. What a privilege. Thank you for letting me be here today.
Well, I am excited because I love your show every Friday. You have a show with Damon Postulko, my other favorite person. And here's a quote, because I was trying to do, as a former reporter, do a little digging. And here's a quote: Curt is a really nice guy. Not easy pickings like some of us. Although I am finding out that there may be you know what they say, it's the quieter one you got to watch from your history, but that's another day. We won't go there, but you're wild and crazy.
I had hair back then, Gail. So when I had hair, I would let my hair down. And so it was a little bit crazy.
Well, let's start with, I know we'll probably have some more comments. We have some early birds that have already dropped in their comments. Now look who's first on the list today.
Hey,
John Marino is in the house. John, come on. John is like
right here. He's right here. John is like one of the greatest guys on the planet. So talk about #hunt relationships.
Yes.
Right here is the man who discovered and just really coined that phrase, go out and hunt those relationships. So
and he's on Twitter. He's doing Twitter chats now. He's becoming, I tell you, some of these people now are overtaking me on Twitter. They're out there doing more chats than I am. I'm okay. We also have James Kunkel. Woo. Do you know James?
You know what? We cross paths a lot. I need to meet James. What a fascinating guy.
James, if you're out there, I apply because we need to connect up because I have some information to get over to you about being on his show, because he also has an amazing show. And I think his show is Wednesday. I actually changed my show, I think, because His was at noon on Wednesday, so I didn't want. I think it was James. So, and we have James doing a shout out to
Katie.
Katie. Oh my God, Katie's another. She's so fun.
I have Katie as a guest coming up. Damon and I have Katie coming up as a guest on our Monday program a week from Monday. So March 14th, Katie's going to bless the stage, and I can't wait to connect with Katie.
Tag me on that. That will be fun. She is a riot.
Oh, she is hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. Love Katie.
And here is Jake Northrup Cavalier.
Jake,
so,
hello, brother.
Jake is getting out and about. I've seen him at a few shows and events. So if anybody that's in the comments, please connect with Jake. Jake is, and Jake will be attending PT Expo in Chicago at the end of March. That's going to be a great show coming up for the plastics industry. It is going to be amazing. Everything from plastic injection molding to 3D to recycling. It's plastics, everything all in one big event. So exciting.
It's a plastics plethora.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, a perfect plastic plethora. There we go.
Yes.
And Inger's in the house here too. So instead of behind, she's out in our studio audience today. So, okay, let's get this started today, Curt. Well, let's start with where this all started for you. Let's go back to how you got into the world of e-commerce, because it wasn't always a rosy path. Like, we all know you're out there rocking it on social media. You have shows, you're doing webinars, you're connecting, you're the great connector. You're having this tremendous success in helping a lot of manufacturers. But where did it begin for you? Let's tell that story.
Well, thank you, Gail. Thank you to everybody. I see Katie, David, Ingor's here. So thank you guys so much, Gail. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'll go back 100 years ago. Gail, I'm not a young man, as you already know. So this was 1995. You were probably in kindergarten back then, maybe in diapers. I don't know. So I got started in e-commerce in 1995. And the reason I got into e-commerce, Gail, is for one reason and one reason only. That reason is out of sheer desperation. I was running out of complete options. I had this little wholesale business, and I was in my 20s at the time. I think I had hair back then, and I was trying to get this business off the ground. My accountant liked to say I was the biggest disaster and train wreck. This is a quote. I was the biggest train wreck that she'd ever met. She felt that there was no way on earth I was going to survive in business. And so out of sheer desperation, I'm like, man, there's this e-commerce thing going on. They were sending out like little American Online. I don't know if anybody out there old enough to remember, like American Online was sending out like little discs. You had 14.4 dial up, ding, 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 right? All that stuff. And I'm like, I have nothing left to lose. I'm going to try this e-commerce thing. It took years. It took a long time, but it finally stuck. It finally worked out for me. And so e-commerce has been a blessing I've been in e-commerce for 27 years now. So time flies when you're having fun.
Well, let's go back to that trip, because one of the things that maybe people didn't know is that you stepped out of Ohio State, right?
Go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. Okay. You stepped out of Ohio State, and how many days later were you stepping into the family business?
So unfortunately, I had my family, my father, my best friend on the planet, guy. I look nothing like him. He's like 6'5", has like a year-round tan, full head of hair. I'm like, Dad, are you sure I'm yours? I'm not, but he's just this amazing, incredible personality. Sells ice to an Eskimo type, one of those cliche things. Just a dynamic man. He's my hero. Worship the ground he walks on. He had a business. Unfortunately, he was a great salesperson. Started his own business when I was a teenager, and I was just so proud of him. So honored, blah, 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 blah. He was my hero. Unfortunately, he wasn't a great businessman. And so calls me up my senior year. I'm graduating from college. I'm going to go conquer the world. I'd spend one summer in Europe. I did another summer in South America. So I'm going to go all over, conquer the world. And Dad calls me up, my best friend on the planet. He's like, dude, I'm in trouble. He's like, could you please help me out for a little bit? So I graduated on a Friday. On Monday, I took over. He was in poor health at the time. And at 21 years old, he had this little tiny wholesale business. I took it over, and man, like I didn't have that class at Ohio State, Ohio State University. They didn't have that class on how to take over Dad's failed, business. So I didn't take that class. And so it was like, what they call it, baptism by fire, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it was rough. It was very challenging for a 21-year-old, but that's why I don't have any hair left, Gail, but we got through it. We survived. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Well, what's really cool about that story from a lot of people I speak to, I mean, if you had waltzed in and everything been laid out for you, I mean, you wouldn't have probably been able to have all these life lessons. And as much as, and this is something Ingrid says to me, if life was easy, blah, 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 right? I mean, how do we grow if we don't get challenged? So I didn't know that about you, that it was. And, it's interesting because sometimes people can be very good at one thing, but running a business, like you do need other skills to run a business. And I'm sure your dad was a great salesperson. And this is why sometimes even salespeople that become managers aren't necessarily the best managers of salespeople, right? Because it's different skill sets sometimes to do that. So thank you for sharing that story. We didn't know that. And I think, so that leads us then, you had this challenge. So without the challenge, you probably wouldn't have got into the e-commerce, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I have to give a little shout out to Dan Baier, who I don't know if did you see it? Can you pull up his quote there? Did you see it?
Yes, I know this one. Now, Dad, settle down here.
Man, come on, brother. I'm still your soulmate, dude. We're still soulmates here. So anyway, all right, we had to acknowledge that. So yeah, I think when you look at entrepreneurship, Gail, and you've done an amazing job. I love your journey, and I love from bed and breakfast to journalism to, where you are today, fierce networker, just an inspiration. And I think with, as entrepreneurs through COVID, who prepared for COVID, right? Who saw this one coming? Who saw that like the world was completely changed, completely shut down? So many awful things came out of COVID. But look at like people in the chat box here today. Look at these relationships that have come out from COVID. Dan Baier has been such an amazing inspiration. John Buglino has become such an amazing dear friend. You're such an amazing dear friend. Damon, Chris Harrington, our whole network, right? All really due to would our paths have crossed if it weren't for COVID. So and I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit to answer your question. When you are faced with challenges, and Philip Knight, the founder of Nike, he says every day in entrepreneurship is a challenge. As a matter of fact, he calls it a crisis. So either unemployment today, it's unemployment, labor issues, hiring, supply chain, keeping people safe, so on and so forth. 5 years ago was something different. 20 years ago, we had 9/11, or 2008, we had the economy crash. So you're always facing some type of challenge, and then we're also facing our own challenges. Are we good enough? Are we smart enough? Are we, determined enough? So, there are so many challenges. So yes, out of that challenge, again, I kid around about out of sheer desperation. I'm like, as entrepreneurs, I'm going to take a chance, try this e-commerce thing. And it's been very rewarding. It's been an incredible experience, great run. And I wouldn't have done it any different, I guess.
So let's fast forward then. So 95, which was a pivotal year because 95 was Microsoft, right? 95. And also, what was the other thing 95 was? Oh, Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos created. Okay. So 95 was a big year. You got into, so tell us, so we started on that journey. Tell us a little bit more about the transition and maybe some tips that people could use now, or how you've transitioned e-commerce and why that matters.
Yeah, great. Man, were you a journalist in your previous life? Yeah, because these questions are fire, man. These are awesome questions. And I have to tell you, you always look wonderful. You're like my soul sister. Your hair looks amazing today. For a guy with no hair, I'm like, man, you have this beautiful flowing red hair. My daughter's a redhead, so man, you are looking stunning today.
Oh. Flattery will get you everywhere,
Absolutely. That's what I heard. It's what my father taught me. So anyway, okay. So e-commerce, transitioning into e-commerce. So, the thought was, I was just at Dan Baier. I was just with Val Weber this morning. We were at Minor Facts, and we're looking at doing like a real fun e-commerce project there. So, the thing that e-commerce does for you is, your online strategy, e-commerce. What I love at my little workshops, webinars that you mentioned, I love to preach. How can we help that ideal buyer make a buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without having you to wait, open up your door on a Monday morning? So it's 1995, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me get this straight. So I had a wholesale business. We had thousands of SKUs, all these little products, and I was limited by geography. Either I had to deliver through vans or vehicles, or maybe throw something on UPS. So I'm like, wait a minute, let me get e-commerce straight. somebody is going to go on a website now I know this sounds crazy today, or it's Captain Obvious. We do it every day. This is 1995. Again, all of you out there are probably like in diapers at the time. I'm the old guy in the show here. But in 1995, somebody physically taking out a credit card and going to your computer and punching in that credit card, hitting a button, and several days later, a product's going to show up at your door. Like, that was mind blowing. That was like us here today, talking, seeing, like, this is the Jetsons right now, us seeing each other and talking. So e-commerce in 1995, I'm like, wait a minute, I can come to work on a Monday morning and like, I can have like a slew of orders, and like, I'm going to be paid. Not only I'm going to be paid before I even process this order. I haven't even picked or packed or shipped an order out. I didn't pay UPS yet. And these people are trusting me with their credit card to pay. I'm like, oh, dude, sign me up for this, right? I mean, like, on paper at the time, I had receivables. I had trucks that had to deliver our product. I had, all this whole list of laundry problems of owning. That's, why I was a train wreck. And e-commerce just also like evaporated all those problems. And so, like, that's why I call myself an e-commerce evangelist. I'm just pounding the pavement of like manufacturers that are out there challenged or struggling. And like, this is new to them. They're widget experts. They nobody makes their widgets better than they do. They just don't know e-commerce or digital, or like, what's this LinkedIn thing? Or like, I don't get this, right? I've been going to trade shows for years. I've had sales reps on the road. We've been doing it in a nutritional manner. So I just want to kind of enlighten them and show them, like, guys, you can be in business 24/7. People can pay you. And here's a great thing, Gail, about manufacturing. I'll stop on this. On a manufacturer direct to end user, not necessarily consumer, but it could be a B2B play or to consumer. Not only are you paid before you ship the order, in manufacturing, you're paid before you even make the product. How cool is that for cash flow? So, I mean, there's just dramatic benefits for folks. As you can tell, I get a little passionate about this, but
Yes.
there's powerful benefits for manufacturers in e-commerce.
So there's the e-commerce, which is great for people selling products, and we all know about Amazon Works, and there's a whole, we could do a whole show just on that, and how you can actually loop into Amazon, even if you're selling manufacturing products, which people don't often understand that. But I did a search. Fascinating world. You can actually go find widgets and stuff like manufacturing items on Amazon. It's not just for food and deodorant and all the other stuff you ordered. By the way, a friend of mine once teased me one time because I ordered a bottle of ketchup through Amazon. I think she goes, "You did what?" I said, "I needed something right away." Boom, it was there. Anyways, I digress.
But but look, how easy was it, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was so simple. And it just shows up on my door. You need something right away. So, but here's the next question. What about, because I know there are some people in our studio audience today that are in manufacturing, and they're the people that make things. So what about people who are out there saying, but we make, let's just use an example, a mold maker. So they make the tools that then go to the molder to pour the blood. So a tool maker, a company like that, or even the people that make the tools for the tools. But let's use the tool maker, that item. What do you suggest for them in terms of how to market that and how to tell their story? Because I hear a lot like, well, it's different for them. It's not B2C. This is B2B. Right. We're different. So what would you say to that?
Well, so first off, I'm such an e-commerce, evangelist, if you will. Right. Just, I'm so biased towards it. It's challenging for me. Like, it's so challenging for me to see an item, a product, a service that shouldn't be on e-commerce. Dear friend of ours. So we do, as you mentioned, a bunch of webinars, programs, different universities. We're doing a big program at Temple University right now. So I line up speakers at universities for, talking about these topics. Exactly. Brian Beck is an amazing, great connection for you. He'd be a wonderful guest for you here, Gail. Brian Beck, he's truly an influencer, B2B, man, he's high level. And he wrote a book called B2B, $1 billion B2B e-commerce, $1 billion B2B e-commerce. It's a phenomenal book. And he gives examples of Cardinal Health, Fortune 500 companies that are selling literally $1 million, 7-figure products on e-commerce. So when I encounter a lot of manufacturers like, you don't get it, Curt. We sell $5,000 SKU, a $6,000 SKU. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm there. I respect what you're saying. I totally understand it. However, let's just, man, are you positive that your competition isn't taking advantages? Are you positive that there aren't opportunities for your customers to take full advantage here? So I'm having a tough time keeping up with the chat's on
Yeah.
fire
Oh no,
today.
forget the chat. I'm going to bring those comments up. We'll get to that. So we'll get to that.
John, but I'll give you, I'll give you two quickies. So John asked like Val and Curt. So I was at Monofrax this morning, man. In Monofrax, we took a tour. Kim Lloyd from Fuse Hub, the New York MEP, Jason Deering, myself. We took a tour of Monofrax. Monofrax does refractories, refractory products. These are products that go inside a furnace to help. Think of a glass manufacturer. Okay. So glass manufacturer, I manufacture Coca-Cola bottles. I'll make it as easy as possible, right? Coca-Cola bottles. And we have this giant plant, this furnace that manufactures Coca-Cola bottles. Well, the lining inside the furnace is a refractory product. That's what Val Weber does. Hopefully that made sense. That's what Val Weber does. This tour was mind blowing. I should have taken a video and shown it to you. So it's mind blowing, big, massive cement. They're pouring the heat to mold these things. It's 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 4,000 degrees, massive products. Guess what they want to do? E-commerce. They want to make it as easy as possible for their ideal buyers. I call them soulmates, right? Those ideal buyers, those soulmates, to go on that website on a Friday night at midnight, because we don't know what time zone they're in. We don't know what country they're in. They can go on the website. It makes Val's life so much easier, because now the website is the customer service and can actually be your sales tool, your sales partner, and I can go on and actually purchase this product. So that, that's a multi-$1,000 unit. So I'm just tying in with what John said. That's Monofrax is a perfect example of a traditional manufacturer founded in 1948 that is forward thinking and like, man, e-commerce fits our product perfect. And that's a pure B2B play. And like a consumer, it's not like there is nothing about their product that's consumer based.
And I think I want to come back there. We're going to go to the comments now, but one of the things I think that's really important is that sometimes in manufacturing, I get this sense, I don't get the sense, I hear this, it's that we're different because we're B2B than different than B2C, but the same rules apply. And just like I use transferable skills from different careers that I've been in, the same skills as a journalist help me as a bed and breakfast owner, help me as a fundraiser, help me as a strategist. And I went into insurance. Now I'm in manufacturing, and it's the same skills. It's not like, oh, gee, I can't learn about manufacturing. You can adjust, and we'll talk when we come after the comments. I want to come back and talk a bit more about that, telling those stories, and we'll talk about the purple shoelaces and the pink shoes as well. Because we got to tell that story, because that always stands out whenever I'm doing keyword research. Okay, let's go. We heard about the Ohio State, Michigan controversy, and then which Michigan though, right? Which Michigan State, Michigan?
Yeah, he's talking the Wolverines, the
okay, there we go. So
Michigan, so good rivalry, great.
Dan did say his dad is a OSU grad, or his father-in-law, I mean. So
yep.
Okay, we have. This is going back to community, and Katie said, yeah. My real community. Yes, Katie, we are the real community. Wait a minute. You know what? I got to go back and do a shout out, because someone that's here, one of my fave people when it comes to process, is none other than David Chrysler, my fellow TikToker too.
Great dude he is.
Oh my God.
I met David at your networking event, if I'm not mistaken. What a brilliant guy he is.
Yes, he really is. And he cooks too. A little sidebar, sir. He's great. Yeah. So then we talked about John Bully. We're back to the AOL CDs. Remember that? And then, Katie said, the days of dial-up. Oh, remember that? Remember that noise? Oh,
Katie's way too young to remember that. So
she's, you know what? She remembers as a child, I'm sure, the listening to kids. So then we have hello. Everybody's talking back and forth. Hello. Let's get down to, here's someone. Diane Baier. Now, I don't know if I don't know if we know.
You need to connect with Diane.
Yes.
So let me give a quick shout out to Diane. Okay. Diane is with an organization here in the States. It is called TAAC, TAAC. Diane, correct me if I'm wrong, because I always get this backward. Trade Adjustment Agreement Center.
Oh.
Right? Assistance Center. I was
okay.
The TAAC. What it is, it's a federally funded program Diane gives away money to manufacturers. Free money, no strings attached, guys. Please, and Diane, you should have Diane as a guest. As a matter of fact,
Yeah,
Diane,
well, I got to talk about, I wonder about consultants coming off the talk. So Diane
you-
says challenges force change, change forces growth, growth. That is, Inger has listed this. I'm sure this is something we've talked about, that, if you're not falling and failing once in a while, you're not trying hard enough. Like, you really have to be able to feel like some days like, oh, this is so hard. And then that's when you know you're on the path to success, right? So thank you, Diane, for stopping by. Diane is a new guest here today, so that's great. We have Dan, they're talking about, oh goodness, correct. So Brian Forrester said, he said I gear, but he means I'm here. Do you know Brian?
I don't know Brian.
Oh, okay.
Brian.
He's a fun guy. He uses video, does fun videos. You got to go check him out. Some of his videos. He is here locally. Yep. And then we have, John says, a Curt and Valerie Weber collaboration. Tell us more, which you did. So thank you. You were ahead of that. And then Dan says, show the process. Exactly. Show, don't tell, because that's all about storytelling. You want to show, not just say how great you are. And then we had Dan said, we'll get to your book in a minute. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that because, and then we had John said, oh, I don't know if he's kidding. He said, Deborah, he has a book. So, okay, John, stay tuned. We're going to be talking about the book. And oh, wait a minute. Keep that back. That's the golden nugget coming up. We got to tease them with that. Okay, then we have John saying, people that make things need to show us people that do not make things how they're making the things to make the things. Okay, I like that. I'm going to have to use that that is so true, because I work with a lot of people that make things. So,
John, I'm going to hashtag that one. I'm hashtagging.
Yes, hashtag that, the whole thing, just the whole word.
Yeah, I hashtag hunt relationships on every post now. Thanks to my dear friend, John Buglino. I'm now hashtagging that sentence right there. I can't say it. Not going to repeat it, but I'm hashtagging.
Yeah, I'm sending it out to anybody that's listening here from my world of people that make things. See, John wants to know how you do that, and you want to start. We'll get to that about how you can do that.
Yep.
Then we had Katie said, I'm with you. Did you see my post about the candy machine today? No, but we better go check out Katie's post about the candy machine. And then, okay, here, stop being the best kept secret, and even if me could follow it. Okay, we're going to talk about that book. Dan says we were distracting me. No, I think we had to get to the comments. Thank you, though. We said, thank you for the details on the collaboration. And then we have, forward thinking is good. Nice, Feller and Monofrax. Yes. Oh, we have another person in the house is Mike Hicks.
Hey, Mike.
Mike Hicks is a supplier, works with a lot of the mold making shops here in Windsor, Essex, and
Awesome.
beyond. Mike is a big supporter here. He's also on the Canadian Association of Mold Breakers board with me. He does an amazing job with a golf tournament. Maybe you should come up to our golf tournament, Curt.
Absolutely. I'm hands-on worst golf player of all time. I would be honored to give everybody a good, I'm comic relief on the golf course. How's that, Gail?
You know what? I think it'll be in my foursome as well. That's what I use.
Perfect.
I'm not that young. I just look young. Thanks.
Man, good genes, Katie. Good genes.
Then we have Diane says, okay, Trade Adjustment Assistance Center. So everybody head over to Diane's profile. Let's all grab some of that money.
Absolutely. Show me the money, Diane. She's just handing money out left and right. You need to connect with Diane.
Now we have Mike Hicks says, you would have to significantly incentivize your point of delivery purchase. I have a very about this. Gail went offline. Okay, we'll have to hear from Mike, because Mike does work in a lot in the supply chain. So we'll maybe hear more about that, incentivizing and whether you need to do that. So, because maybe we can talk about that, Curt, as do you need to incentivize product? We'll talk about that. Then we have people agreeing. David says, thanks for the love. I'm going to skip by because we want to get back. Okay, so everybody's having lots of comments back and forth. So thank you for that. Okay, let's talk about that last comment from Mike about incentivizing purchase, because that leads into what do you need to do to help with e-commerce? What are some tips for people that may be saying, you know what, it's too hard, it's too difficult? What are some suggestions you would make?
Absolutely. So I'll go here. So I love preaching to this little book. And by the way, I have my Monofrax t-shirt. I have my
That's a
My
nice
fault.
brand.
Thank you, Val. Love my shirt. So, okay. So for e-commerce, what I love to preach, especially, so you have OEMs. Our OEMs have a finished good proprietary product. I don't want to say it's a layup or a slam dunk, but it's a lot easier to get into e-commerce when you have a finished good. A lot of our custom manufacturers, and that represents a vast, big majority of our manufacturers, are custom job shops, machine shops. They make something for somebody else. Okay. So a lot of these folks are like, hey, wait a minute, Mr. E-commerce, we feel left out of this whole e-commerce party. So in my little book, so part of my process, my webinars, my preach is singing to, I don't sing because it would be awful, but I preach to custom manufacturers on how to institute an e-commerce strategy for that marketplace so they can get into that mold. Okay. So what I would encourage, let's take a plastic injection molding company, like you said. A lot of times, if you talk to a manufacturer, maybe a CNC shop, 3D printer, circuit board manufacturer, you're like, who's what's your core competency, your core strength? Well, we do circuit boards. Okay. Well, who do you do them for? Well, we can do them for anybody. And right there is always a red flag, because like, we can't be everything to everybody. Why? We're nothing to no one, especially from a marketing standpoint, right? So where are the riches? The riches lie in the niches. And when you talk to a custom manufacturer long enough, and when I say long enough, within the first 5 minutes, you find out, oh, they're in aerospace, or maybe they're in auto, or maybe they're in medical, maybe they're in agriculture. You're going to find out that they live in an industry. So like your plastic injection molding example, if you talk to them long enough, all of a sudden you're like, hey, wait a minute. I do an awesome job with plastic injection molding for turbine engines or aerospace, or like something specific. Okay. And if we're going to get into the purple shoelaces, that's my purple shoelace right there. Right. We need to finish a sentence. So if we're talking marketing, throwing on our marketing hat, you have to, like, we're going too broad if you just say, hey, I manufacture printed circuit boards, or I manufacture, plastic injection molding. We need to finish that sentence. That's part of your keyword strategy, just to throw that in there. Your keyword strategy, which equals your core strengths, what you are absolutely best at, what God put you on this planet to do and to execute, those are your e-commerce opportunities. So that's where we start. Most companies, most businesses, probably all, every one of us would have like that 80-20 rule, iceberg effect, right? The 80-20 rule. 20% of our customers are driving 80% of our sales and profits. I encourage you, take a look at that 80%. And that's a great, which when I say 80%, 80% of your sales or profits are coming from 20% of your business or customers, if you will. Take a look at that product mix, and that's a great place to start with e-commerce. So even if you are in B2B, that's a great place to either now you can take that product and put it on to sell it, just like our friend Val at Monofrex. They're taking these big ceramic blocks and they're going to sell them on e-commerce. And I'll pause on this. The other opportunity is they look, a lot of manufacturers, what I'm pushing is our configurators. Our mutual dear friend, Chris Harrington at Gen Alpha Technologies, that's one of their superpowers. They do configurators, allowing a customer to come on your website and create your product. That's e-commerce. And that's a powerful, powerful tool. And it's extremely inexpensive for manufacturers to take advantage of. How was that?
No, that's perfect. And, when we hear e-commerce, I think people do think Amazon. They think of the products. I have to have something tangible, and it has to be, something that is more of a commercial product. So if someone wants to do, let's tell how to tell those stories, because that's what I do. I help people tell the story, pull the story out. But if you're too general, then you're not going to get to that sweet spot of really what is your specialty. So if you just say, and I go through this as a reporter, that was the whole thing, is I'd have to dig to like what, and people will always tell you, if you ask enough questions, they will actually present you with their tagline. They'll present you with their niche, everything. Yep. You just have to have someone sometimes to help you do that, because if not, they'll say, oh, I build molds. Okay, what kind of molds? Well, mid to large size or small molds. But then when you really dig deeper and you ask more questions, you start to get very specific.
Right.
And this ties into what I want you to talk about in terms of how to start putting that out on LinkedIn, how to put that out on your website, and why that's important. So if you could tell the story about the pink shoelace or the pink shoes, because that's when people are searching, there's a cost. Like when you're going to search something, how do you stand out, and how do you be the red M&M in the bowl of green, as Damon Festuca would say?
Right.
Okay, over to you.
Right. Okay. So here's we go. So now we're going to throw in our search hat for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, if we, my examples, I bend metal, I cut steel, whatever I do, and we're looking at it very broad. Okay. And it's common for manufacturers. And again, God bless them. They don't know these marketing strategies. All you guys on here, a lot of you are marketing gurus. So it's I'm being Captain Obvious to many of you. For manufacturers, man, they are widget experts. They know how to make their product like nobody else. They're just not into this whole keyword strategy, online marketing. What is all this, right? So what I encourage you to think about is niching down. Now, 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, you had my partner in crime. You had Wesleyan Greer on the program.
Mm-hmm.
She is, man, oh God. So we are doing all sorts of programming together. We do all sorts of training together. She is a godsend. She is a dear connection. Thanks to Dan Baier. God bless you, brother. Thank you for that connection to Wesleyan. And when she absolutely loves talking about preaching about these niches, going down to this niche. Okay. So when we do our keyword strategy, when we're taking manufacturers through training. So again, I CNC for such and such. So my example with the shoelaces, just say, okay, whatever your product is, whatever your service is, Katie mentioned SaaS. So like maybe our friends at Uptessa, our friends at Gen Alpha, our friends at whatever, ABC manufacturer, okay, Cavalier Tool, whatever. Okay. Say we all manufacture shoes, just to humor my example, my exercise. Okay. So if I do a search for shoes, I just did this yesterday. There are 6 billion pages on Google for the word shoes. If you went CNC, if you did plastic injection molding, there are probably hundreds of millions of pages. We're never going to come up on search. Okay. So if you feel that your ideal customer is looking for you on Google and you want to come up on Google, we need to niche that down. If I talk to a manufacturer like, man, I want to come up on first page for CNC or 3D printing, I'm like, dude, you have a better chance of seeing me with hair. It's not going to happen. Right. So you want to niche down. Let's finish that sentence. So back to the shoes. So if I'm like, okay, so say, Gail, you and I are manufacturers of shoes, but you know what? They're running shoes. Well, now if I put running before shoes, now it goes from 6 billion down to like 2 billion. Still a staggering number, but now we're getting a little bit closer. Now I have a teenage daughter. Say my teenage daughter wants pink running shoes. Well, now when I do a search for pink running shoes, now I've niched that much further. Plus, if I'm selling pink running shoes, it's a much better match because I'm going to align with my soulmate. Because if I'm a consumer Googling shoes, it's too broad. So I'm going to type pink running shoes. Let's take it one step further. Let's say hypothetically, my daughter is looking for pink running shoes with purple shoelaces. So I always use this example because we can visualize it. We get it. Picture my daughter has like these pink Converse, and they're awesome. Yeah. And you could put in purple shoelaces. What I'm encouraging you to do as a marketer or as a manufacturer, finish the sentence. So I just went through a program yesterday, and this company has a product. And we're like, okay, well, we need, and as a matter of fact, this woman's selling bras. And she's like, okay, custom bras made in USA bras for mountain biking, for like, she's like hardcore, like her customer is a hardcore consumer, mountain biking, mountain climbing. She's in Alaska, like that type of thing. So I'll wrap up on this. When I encourage you to think about niche down with your keyword strategy, your marketing strategy, which equals your e-commerce strategy, and finish that sentence off. I plastic injection mold products for XYZ. I make printed circuit boards for ABC. So what are your purple shoelaces? Finish that sentence. That's your e-commerce opportunity. That's your keyword strategy. How's that?
That is perfect because anytime I have to do any keyword, I think of that story about the shoes and the shoelace. No, because you're right. It's very visual. And, if there's one takeaway from today, I hope people will do that, because if you are too general, you're not going to probably reach your ideal soulmate. I guess in life, in any type of partnership, any relationship, what you really want to do is be specific.
Be very specific. And I'm going to be very specific right now. I have to give a shout out to Bonnie. Bonnie's in the house.
Oh yes, let's go back to comments because I do want to go back. So let's say,
you attract out, you like all the cool people are hanging out.
We do. You know what? And Bonnie is okay. People go follow Bonnie. You got to follow her videos. She is every time I think about container, I'm always thinking that is so cool. Those containers you put on, like, so you don't have to juggle with everything. And so please go follow Bonnie because
I have Bonnie's product like right here.
that
Like
is so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is
Bonnie,
just
love you, Bonnie.
yeah, and she has niched. I mean, there is a good if anyone wants the example of a niche, right? What she's working on, that is very cool. So, and look at she says you're a guru, Curt. Oh,
Love
that's
Bonnie.
sweet. Yeah.
Love
So we have
Bonnie.
lots of hellos. Drilling down, yes, we need to drill down because um this if you're trying unless you have a large budget like we talked about Nike and then they just can put certain companies can put lots of money into marketing and lots of money into and maybe you can run with shoes, no pun intended, but if you are small you're going to have to get very careful about that strategy. Let's see what John says. You can even have the search engine finish sentence for you, just start typing, let it point. Okay, that I do use a lot, and it's amazing how things also I don't see. So here's something. If you don't see that written in there, maybe you need to look at how you can, because that's missing content. Like I went looking for something today about ordering something for a trade show, wanted to get a ratio of proportion for ordering items and couldn't find that on. Now I might've been using the wrong search terms, but I was thinking that would be really good for anybody selling swag to do that, right? Put that sort of information in. We've got smiley face.
And John, phenomenal point. And so when we do our training, what we do is we take folks through Google Keyword Planner. Google Keyword Planner is a free tool. It's always free. It comes with your Google Ads account. And so man, I've been using that thing for over 20 years. It's a great tool and resource. So what you do is you put in your keyword. And the great thing about online marketing, like we don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. We don't have to sit here and guess like, hey, what do we think people are searching? I can go to Google Keyword Planner and it tells me now Google doesn't give you exact numbers because it's Google. We love Google. Nothing bad about Google because the Google guides are out there, right? But
they're listening.
Man, I don't want to be on anybody's bad list. But Google's a great, Google Keyword Planner is a great thing to use because you put it in there and then it tells you how many searches per month. It will tell you if this term is competitive from an SEO, those free organic listing standpoints. It will tell you what people are bidding for pricing. So Google Keyword Planner is a phenomenal tool. And if exactly what John's saying, start putting in some of your keywords, just go down the bottom and it gives you a bunch of examples of other keyword suggestions.
Okay. Thank you. That is very good. And the more that you're doing that, and it's not just your website, this is where you can put it on social media. Yeah. If you're writing about something, be very specific. And I know there might be people out there, if you're listening out here, you know who you are. If you did a LinkedIn post, being very specific about what your skill set is, what you are able to do as a salesperson, what you're able to sell, what is your expertise, that is what people will be attracted to. If you can be very, very specific. So thank you for that. And Katie did ask a question about, would this work the same for SaaS? So I don't know if you can.
Yeah. And Katie, and man, I can't wait to interview Katie and we can geek out a little bit when you and I chat, but absolutely. So yes, I feel like you definitely could use these same strategies for SaaS. As a matter of fact, we have a great, on our Friday program, we have Jackie Hermes, who's out of Milwaukee. She's built a 7-figure digital marketing firm helping SaaS products. She's speaking on March 18th. And so Katie, you might want to catch Jackie. She's an influencer here on LinkedIn. Connect with Jackie, but we can hit that topic there as well.
Yes. And we're going to definitely mention for people watching Friday, 1:32 p.m. You want Eastern Standard Time. You want to show up for Curt and Damon's show. I try to, even if I can't, if I'm doing something, I listen on my phone.
Thank you.
It is the best show. You have some great guests, great comment networking. Love that. So we should drop some information. Maybe even afterwards, drop some information in the chat, in the comments. So people that are listening today, here's a tip from John. This is really interesting. I knew this, but it's always good to be reminded of this, that Google crawls sites with a 3rd grade reading level. Oh boy, I got to send this to some people. Okay. The search is powered at a 5th grade reading level, and keep that in mind when generating content. Yes. We, as a reporter, that was one thing we had to always think about. And I still try to do this. And sometimes when we know too much, and I sometimes working with clients, when they know too much, they know too much. And it can actually, they feel that it's too simple, but you're writing for your end user, yes, but you also have to write a little bit for Google. So,
and John, that is a phenomenal point. And I'll go back to Val at Monofrax. So again, like understanding who your ideal buyer is, like Gail, we kid around, we call them, those soulmates.
yeah,
It's so, and I know a lot of people, push back or like, I know my customer. It is so critical to understand your customer, because if you're targeting like buyer Bob or buyer Betty or whoever your buyer is,
yeah,
like John's spot on. Like you need it, like we need KISS. Keep it super simple. Keep it super simple. Now, if you sell a higher tech product, SaaS, or we're targeting like engineering Elsa or engineering Ernie, and maybe we need to go a little higher level and speak a little geek speak, because they need specs and technical information. So again, understanding who that ideal buyer is, that's going to help resonate. But boy, keep it the simpler, the better, right? Kudos to John. Thank you.
And this is where people find it difficult. But as a journalist, one of the things we had to do was keep it simple, but be specific. And you can do both. What happens is people confuse simplicity. Simplicity is actually more difficult, because that old saying, someone writes this long letter, and at the end they said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter.
Yeah, right.
One thing I like about Twitter is that it forces me, even when I'm writing other content, I go back and I try to Twitter edit, because when you have to squeeze it in that space, you have to go and take out all the extraneous words, and you get it down to something very powerful.
Yeah.
And I've come from being a journalist where it's different than writing essays. Like you had to get to your point, you had to have the lead, like right away. Unless it's like a feature story, you had to hit with the lead right away, tell people, and also be interesting. And I often would write the lead at the end, right? So, and a really great tip one time, because if you get stuck writing, an editor once said, just start with once upon a time, and write, and then keep writing, then go back and, pump up your lead, that first intro sentence. So that's a little tip. Start with once upon a time. Right. We have a few more comments here. We just have, lots of terrific tips. Yeah, really great tips about the keyword planner. That could be a whole other show I'll have to do on how to do that, because that is so important with storytelling. You do have to think about keywords and making it read well too.
Yeah. And I'll share this real quick. Another thing to think about is, what is your customer's problem compared to what is your keyword? Okay. At our this training, a little training that we do, like I have like the most boring wall on the planet. I need to do like, Gail, get that nice picture. I need to put like something up here. So let's say like, hey, Gail, I'm going to put something on my wall. So my problem is I need a 1/4-inch hole. Right. We all know this story. Now, when I go to the store, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, I don't, I have to buy a 1/4-inch drill. I don't need a 1/4-inch drill, but if I want a 1/4-inch hole, therefore. So here's a great example. Okay. Because a lot of times we're like, well, hey, we're so close to our product that, hey, we know what somebody's calling it. Okay. I just found this out. Coffee drinkers out there. I'm not a coffee drinker, but you go to Starbucks. What's my problem when I go through the drive-through? I don't want to burn my hand. Right. So what does Starbucks do? They take that little piece of cardboard and they put that over the cup. There's a name for that thing. Anybody know the name? I've just found it out this week. It's called a ZARF. 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 This gentleman, Sorensen is his last name, patented that little piece of cardboard on a guy probably made a fortune, and it's called a ZARF. So here's my if I'm like, hey, my soulmates I'm calling these ZARFs, and I'm calling, nobody on the planet is going to Google type ZARF. But my problem is I don't want to burn my hand when I grab that cup of coffee at Starbucks. So what I'm encouraging you guys to think about what is the problem that your soulmate has, and what are they typing? You know what I mean? Like Bonnie's in a great, like Go Lids.
Yeah.
Go Lids is amazing. Guys, go out and check out Go Lids. Check out Bonnie's product. But what's my problem, right? And I have a couple Go Lids right there. When I get my cup and I'm at a ball game and I want to get a burger, hot dog, whatever, I don't want to make a fool and spill it all over. I take Bonnie's solution and put it on top. But and Bonnie and we've talked about this. We want to think about the problem. I don't want to spill things all over myself. I need to, what am I calling it? So until we know the brand name, we want to think about the problem, marry the solution. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Just totally. I saw something recently. I was at a brewery on the weekend. They had this mitt. It was for holding a beer, because they have beers, and they had bonfires and beers. So they were selling these mitts. So you put your hand and you could hold your beer. And I thought, that's so clever. Just cool things that people think of, right? But the Zarf story is amazing because yes, if you just go out and promote Zarf and our Zarf is great and people don't know what it is, but you're right. We have to, and we have to remember what Allison DeFord would say is be careful of wee.
Be careful of the wee. Now, Val and Damon, my brother from another mother, just popped in. Dude, man, I don't know if I love any more on the planet than Damon Pastuca, what he's done for me this past year. And now Val, I hope your ears were ringing because we've been talking about you and Minofrex for the past whatever we've been on this show. So was there a question there? Yeah.
I just want to, let's go back. Let's do a little bit of let's do Damon. We got to do love to Damon, right?
Brother. I mean, oh, you know what? So here's and how long, Gail, am I keeping you? Like, how long are we going?
No, we're good. We have another 10 minutes. We have go about an hour.
Okay.
My show is going to be 30 minutes, but that never happens.
No, that never happens. Okay. So I have a hard stop top of the hour.
Yeah.
But
no, we'll stop. Yeah.
Let me just, all right. Here's the power of LinkedIn. So COVID, does anybody know about this little thing called COVID? There's like this little pandemic thing that kind of went around the planet. I don't know if anybody heard about this. I heard about it. So the world shuts down on March 22nd. I put out a post and I was just, I was like putting out these blog posts. Why? I was like, man, I'm trying to write this goofy book, right? I put out this blog post and this guy out of Seattle, Washington drops me a note. Hey, Curt, interesting blog post that you just put out. Really fascinating. I see you're in e-commerce. My company, Exit Your Way, is also in e-commerce. I'd like to know, are you working with OEMs or custom manufacturers? Love to get on a call. We get on a call, and this is gospel's truth. I don't know if Damon even knows about this. My wife comes home that night, and I'm like, I met this dude, and I'm like, I'm not sure how this sounds. I'm like, I met like my soul brother today. I'm like, I know that might sound a little freaky, but like me and this guy, like we were like just gushing over the phone or on our Zoom, and this was March 22nd. So the world shut down on like what, March 16th, March 20th, whatever day that was. This and if I go back to LinkedIn and I go back to March 22nd. And it was a day before my wife's birthday. That's how I remember it. So Damon shoots me a note. We became instant besties. I went out to Seattle to visit Damon. We've been running our shows together. Damon, I love you, brother. You are such a gift and blessing to tons of people on LinkedIn, and all thanks to LinkedIn, to the friendship that I've gained, with you, Dan Baier, John, everybody on the program, Bonnie. But Damon he's something special. He's a gift to everybody in our circle.
He is the red M&M and the bowl of green. And I use this and I always give him credit because I tell people this story because that's how we met. And it really is such a visual depiction. And I said, you do want to be that red M&M as much as at times you may think you don't. I mean, that goes back to that. You want to be the purple shoelace of the pink running shoe. That is what you want to stand out because that's how you get found. Because if not, I remember when I was hired as a fundraiser, the one they said after they said, yeah, you're not vanilla. Like we needed someone that wasn't vanilla to go out there and because sometimes you need that spark to be able to stand out from the crowd. So Bonnie says that's a beautiful story. Yes, that is. Anybody that knows Damon knows why you guys are so amazing. Let me go back and see. So Katie does have to leave. She has to. So, okay. We mentioned, Bonnie's in the house. Oh, we have Valerie said, are we having USA Manufacturer Day early? Okay. The crew is all here. Valerie, good point. For those of you that don't know, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is USA Manufacturer, which is where I've met. So in fact, I think that's where we first met, Curt, was kind of through that, it was the Twitter chat that went then to the video, to the Zoom call. And I remember thinking, oh, you're kind of funny. I think I got to meet. You're kind of cool. Okay. And then you have connected me up with, anybody, if you tell me to meet someone, I'm like, okay, I'm on it. So we will start to wrap up because I'm looking at the time. Let me see. Oh, we have to show, your book. Now's the time to unveil.
My book?
Your book.
Damon's got my book. So I have a book. So Damon dropped, he's like, the pink running shoes of purple shoelaces. He knows that story inside and out. So here's my little book. Stop being the best kept secret. So little e-commerce resource guide for manufacturers came out during COVID. That's when I met Damon. That's I was about this little goofy book. So, it's, we're Damon, myself, all of us here are, the manufacturing happy hour on Thursdays. we're just so passionate about manufacturing. So I did, again, if Val's still on, so I just had the honor and privilege, took a tour of Manufacts this morning with Kim Lloyd from Fuse Hub. And when we took that tour, she leans over to me. It was like really loud. We had our earplugs in. She leans over to me. She goes, "You can't, the young people can't get this in technology or Silicon Valley, can they?" So in manufacturing, guys, that's where the cool kids are hanging out. There's such amazing, incredible opportunities going on in manufacturing. And so it's just such a blessing to be part of this network, Gail. And before we wrap up, I can't express my thanks, my gratitude to you. You are a fierce networker. You are such an amazing go-giver. You are just pulling in people from all over the place. So I know you give Damon, you throw out, and you're just so generous with those shout outs to myself and Damon and our support for our show. And we just want to express how much we appreciate you, sending love to you. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing inspiration. So thank you for everything that you do for our entire little LinkedIn crowd here and our Twitter crowd on Thursdays.
Well, thank you. And you know what? It is a circle of things come back to me. Like my life has definitely been enriched because of so many people, like a Sam Gupta. I mean, I think you connected me with Sam, and oh my God, that's another, let me put in, before I forget, because I didn't put this in the banner, I want to put in your website. What is your website again? It's
So little play on words, guys. So instead of retail, it is B2B tail. So B number 2, B tail, B2B tail.
Build.com. Okay. You know what? I didn't know. I don't think I knew the background to that.
Yeah.
So let me
just
see.
Play on word for instead of retail, it's B2B tail. So Tune 6 asked a great question. That's a loaded question. There's a lot. I'm going to say it depends. Tune that depends on a couple of things. So if you're just starting out, WordPress, if you're already on WordPress, you can go on WooCommerce. It's a great place to be. Maybe if you want to step up your game a little bit, you're already, you're an OEM, you have like maybe 800, 1,000 SKUs. BigCommerce is a great place to be. If you have thousands and thousands of SKUs, our dear friend Chris Harrington at Gen Alpha is a great opportunity. Magento, NetSuite. So it depends on where you are in the food chain, but that's a deeper question. But a lot of Damon gave a shout out to my dog snoring. So
yeah. Well, and Tune 6, you may want to connect up with Curt and ask that because I'm sure you could connect him up with the right opportunities. So those are great questions. And Tune 6 is a new visitor here. So thank you. And then we have Damon said, yep, that it really depends on the product. Curt could definitely give you some suggestions once he knows more. Okay, there we go. I mean, not once you know more, once you know more about the situation. Not once you know more.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have your website up. We've talked about the shows, and yeah, you have been just an amazing guest. I know we have a hard stop at the top there, so I want to definitely let you get going. And you are a girl dad. I am a boy mom, which it's amazing having our kids, right? Yeah. They're my son. I cannot be I just super proud of everything.
And I love, and everybody, just so in case anybody doesn't know, that hysterical video that Gail opens up the program with, that's from her son. Her son is so talented and just a rock star. So it's great. Isn't it great bringing your kids into the business? This is awesome.
It is. And you know what? He was at first worried about some of the things he's done for me. He says, well, I don't know, it kind of pokes fun. And I'm like, no, it's so funny. Like, I love that. One of the things that, it's fun to have when it's done in the right, mode. I saw someone though do a talk. I just posted on LinkedIn, and he came on to his show. He came into his talk rapping. Now I'm not a rapper, but I said, oh, and Aiden can rap. My son is a really good rapper. So I said, I might have to get him to do an intro when I do a talk one time about rapping about the people who make things.
Right.
Oh.
And again, we can wind down on this on that video, Gail. You do, you're on stage, and it's like that is your comfort zone right there. And you type like, man, this feels so fake. I absolutely love how you say the word fake. And and the takeaway is, guys, network like crazy. It's just what do you have to lose? So many folks that we encounter, a little resistant to online or LinkedIn, but look at these dynamic relationships, these powerful friendships that we've, and most of us haven't even met in person, right. It's just this little virtual relationship, but man, they've been just such a gift and blessing. And Gail, you're just such a blessing to all of us here. So thank you for thank you for the opportunity to be here, share this time with you. And thank you for what you do for all the manufacturers, everybody in Canada, and all of our friends here in the state on manufacturing.
You know what I always ask, and I didn't ask this yet, is how do you feed your curious mind? Okay, in like 30 seconds, how do you feed your curious mind?
You know what? I'm an avid reader, so like,
Yeah.
we had Damon is in this book right here. Damon and I both are in this book, but this, Tiny Business, Big Money. It's a great book. It's a woman that was a guest of ours a couple weeks ago. Dan Baier does, follow Dan Baier's posts on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Learn, be the go-giver, just be the avid, fierce networker. Follow Dan Baier. Just copy Dan Baier and you're going to be successful. How's that?
That is great. Curt, thank you. We had so much more we could talk for another hour, but I will let you go because you know what? This will mean I have other guests now to look into and bring on and elaborate on some of the things we've touched upon. So stay tuned. Oh, next week I have a very special guest. You got to stay tuned. It's good. Oh, this will be fun. Okay. I'll give a little sneak peek. It's first name is Sarah.
Oh no, man!
Sarah,
dude, you better get a good night's sleep the night before.
I'm like, oh my god! I hope she wears her green wig. I hope she wears her green wig.
She is a rock star. Sarah Scudder, she is phenomenal.
Yes, so, that will blow up. I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Gail, thank you, everybody. God bless everyone. Have a killer rest of your week. And Gail, thank you for everything that you do.
Okay, we'll see you off to your next event, and we'll talk soon.
See you guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm a goodness. You know what? When you talk to Curt, there's just so much. You just like absorb some of his energy. Definitely encourage you to follow him. And everybody in the comments today, thank you for following along. We had some new people that came in. Thank you to the 6. We had Diane. So this has been amazing. I'm going to put up here what Bonnie said is learn. That is one of the things I found about being online and networking and doing this show. The amazing thing even about doing this show is it's like an hour lesson of learning from some bright minds. So yeah, definitely stay tuned because I have guests. I'm going to keep bringing in some cool guests every week, Wednesday at this time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you to everybody who comes out in the comments, and because that's such a valuable part to ask the questions, have that interaction. And yeah, so Angus said, have an awesome week further. Okay. Have an awesome week. And thank you to everybody who commented. And if you do need help or know someone in manufacturing that needs help telling their stories, based on what Curt said today, with my background in journalism, what I try to do is get that you want to be simple, but you want to be specific. You want to pull the stories out of people. And I can tell you from all of my years as a reporter, when I would call up people to interview them, they'd often say, oh, I don't really have a story. I don't know why you want to talk to me. And those were usually the best interviews. And it's all about being able to, it's like translating a language. So I would go and interview people and then be able to pull out the gems that would help make those great stories for the newspaper. Well, now what I do is I pull out those great gems and stories that are great for a website, great for social media, so that you can get out there and sign up, suit up, and show up, because that's where the magic happens when you show up. So tune 6 up. There we go. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Stay tuned next week. We do have Sarah as a great guest. She will be a riot. It's definitely, and in part, lots about branding. And also you'll see some posts. I'm going to be at the PT Expo, which is a plastics show in Chicago, March 29th to 31st. It's going to be amazing. So make sure that you go over to my LinkedIn page and sign up using Gail, because I do win a prize if I get the most signups. Okay, I don't, but I like to, set my own goals. So I want to just win and get the most signups. So make sure you sign up, because you can go check out the digital trade show as well. Okay, thanks everyone. And we'll see you next week. Sign up, suit up, and show up.